Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wild West Wednesday. Although I guess it could be uh, Water Wing Wednesday. I don't know. I decided to have a little piratey Curse of Monkey Island introduction, which doesn't make sense for anyone watching this on YouTube because I'll have trimmed that out, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, hi everyone. Welcome to Wild West Wednesday. Thank you for joining me. Hello to everyone in the chat, Electric Dragon UK, and Skeevy She, and Deavor, and Pixie Cow. It is good to have you here, and anyone else who might be lurking in the chat. Howdy between the borders, welcome. So let's get right to it. I'm going to continue drawing. I'm your host, Wild West. Yes, welcome to Wild West Wednesday. I'm your host, Wild West. No, I'm your host, Francisco Gonzalez, also known as Grundislav, and I am making a point-and-click adventure game called Rosewater, and now I'm going to draw a background for it. In fact, I'm going to continue drawing the backgrounds that I was drawing for it last stream, which I have not touched since last week because I have been writing. So there really hasn't been any progress. Actually, that's not true. I have made some progress since last stream. Last stream I painted the stairs, and afterwards I spent the rest of the day just adding a few extra things. So like I added this barrel underneath the stairs, and I added this sort of wooden, I added this sort of wooden, I guess pallet, series of pallets against the back wall. But most importantly, I added this divider here, and I painted in the arches, and I started doing the back arch because, as you can see here, these are 3 arches, and so you're going to be able to see the rest of the background back there. So I'm going to be continuing with that today, starting with filling in the stuff back here and darkening it up because this back part here is going to be in the dark. I mentioned last week that this background is going to be an interesting challenge because there are 2 light sources. Actually, there's 3 light sources. There's the permanent light source up here, there's this lamp, and there's another lamp over here, which are both off. And throughout the course of your exploration, you'll be lighting both of these lamps. So I need to compensate for that and have areas that are dark and areas I have to have like overlay layers for when the background is not lit and when the background is lit. So there's that. But I want to get all of the shapes and everything in first and then worry about lighting them. So let's start off by doing this back set of barrels here. This is just going to be some barrels, basically. Between the Borders says, congratulations on the SAG thing. I don't know what it takes, but it sounds like a major achievement. Well, thank you. I will tell you this. All it takes is asking. I could probably talk about this at length. In fact, I was thinking I might make it a talk for any upcoming conferences that may be happening. I was thinking I would do a talk about how a basement indie managed to score an agreement with the union. But I can give you a basic rundown if you're interested now. But yeah, basically it just was a matter of asking the right people and getting in touch with the right people and doing it. Wait, a union? Yes. The Screen Actors Guild is what SAG stands for. I realize that a lot of people might not understand what's going on. Oh, hello, Amiable Mystery, and hello, Rocky Johan. Just in time. Howdy how. Yeah, you missed all of the... you missed the Curse of Monkey Island introduction. Amiable Mystery, I was on Crimson Tuesday, or the Crimson Diamond stream. Let's give a shout out. Pay back the favor. Everyone who's here, I think, probably already does, but just in case, let's give a shout out to A Maple Mystery. So, yeah, go follow her. She streams every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. The development of the Crimson Diamond. I almost said the Crystal Diamond for some reason. The development of the Crimson Diamond, as well as playing games. You were playing last half of Darkness. Did you finish last night? That intro is legit one of my favorite moments in gaming. Which one? Anyway, sorry, I was gonna look up barrels in a wine cellar. Let me have a look here. Wine cellar barrels. I want, like, stacked barrels. Here we go. Okay, so they're definitely on, like, a thing. Let me do that. Yeah, oak wine barrels stacked. Yeah, so they are on a pallet, and they are on blocks, as I thought. So let me go ahead and do that. Also, if I have any problems, feel free, A Maple Mystery, to guide me, as I was giving you unsolicited bucket advice yesterday. You did finish, okay. That sounds like a good talk. It sounds very much like something an indie game can't budget for it, so that'd be neat to hear about in a talk. Well, funny you say that, because an indie game can budget for it, because I'm an indie game. So yeah, I had a lot of misconceptions about working with union actors. The biggest misconception I had was that it was not achievable. Thanks for the bucket advice. Well, my pleasure. Because it was too expensive. But I was aware of the fact that they had negotiated a special low-budget video game agreement a couple of years ago, which had the intent of allowing indies with low-budget games to be able to work with union actors. And the requirement for that was that your game's budget cannot exceed $1.5 million, which if you're an indie, it's pretty easy not to exceed that budget. So that's pretty much the only requirement you need to qualify for the low budget agreement. So I had looked into it a while ago when it had first been announced, but then I saw that it was still what I considered to be out of my price range, because minimum rate. So basically, I guess I should explain the difference between working union and non-union is the basic function of. Oops. What? Oh, I see what I did. I didn't flatten my layers. I made 2 layers and I didn't flatten them. Good job, me. Is that easy for us to stand there? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's definitely like, I thought it was more for like what I call the triple I, like, a studio that has like a Don't Nod or a Telltale or something, like studios that aren't triple A, but that aren't like one guy in his basement making games, right? So basically the function of the union is to protect its actors, right? So the idea is that if you're in the union, it's because you're serious about being a voice actor. You've been doing it for a while. You have a certain level of experience, presumably, even though really to join the union you just have to like pay your dues and be up on your dues. Although you do have to work on a SAG project to be able to be eligible for the union, to join the union. But what they're looking out for is that actors don't get screwed over in payment. Like, if there's a non-union project, there's nothing that says that I can't pay, actors A, B, and C, say $100 per hour, and actors C or D, E, and F $200 per hour, and actor J $50 per hour, right? There's no protection there in a non-union gig. Not that I would ever do that, because that's just shady business practices and gross. But what the union does is they establish minimum rates for projects. So like if it's, say for film, like half a day on camera, it's a certain minimum rate. If it's a 2-hour voiceover session not on camera, it's another minimum rate, etc., etc. So, so what the low budget agreement was, was what the low budget agreement is basically that. So like, it's 400. The minimum is $478 for a 2-hour session, and I was still like, well, that's kind of pricey because you also have to factor in. Uh, I'm just catching up with chat. Sorry, your Double Fines, although they yeah, your Double Fines, exactly. They did get acquired by Microsoft. But anyway, so I was still thinking that because I mean normally on Lamplight City I was paying $200 per session. So for a 2-hour session it was $200. So that came out to $100 per hour. Whereas this was $478 for a 2-hour session. Plus on top of that you have to pay health insurance and a bunch of other things. So basically it comes down to about close to $700 per session for a 2-hour session, which was double what I was paying. So I was like, oh geez, I still can't afford that. So I was like, well, maybe I can negotiate that. So I started having a conversation with a union rep a couple of years ago about possibly negotiating down. And long story short, in the end, I just asked my publisher to up our VO budget so that we could have the budget for the original agreement. So yeah, basically that was it. I filled out some paperwork. I sent it in. Now I can hire union actors on Rosewater. So I'm excited because I have some cool people on my wish list, and I want to see if I can get them all to say yes. So yeah. But basically the moral of the story is you never know until you ask. Because I thought this was out of my reach until I actually asked questions and found out that it was within my reach. And if it's within my reach, it's within anyone's reach as long as you have the budget. But I mean, you know, you have publishers and you have Kickstarters and stuff. It may still not be in the budget for like a solo project that doesn't have any sort of financial backing or anything. But there's plenty of ways to get financial backing, be it a publisher or a Kickstarter or whatever. So $475 for 2 hours is just a little higher than the top freelancers I worked with, but that's without health, studio fees, etc. Yes, exactly. Plus, another thing that was a couple of years ago was a thing that is no longer a thing is that with the pandemic, if there is any sort of silver lining to the pandemic, is that it completely changed the voiceover landscape. So like home studios were a thing before, but now home studios are like more or less the industry standard. So most professional voice actors have good quality home studios. So you don't actually have to factor in the cost of renting a studio and travel time and all of that stuff. And you can also work remotely. So there's also that helps quite a bit in achieving that. And yeah, I mean, we increased our music budget for this project, so I was like, you know what, we should be able to level up the voiceover as well, because I always like to push myself with each game, and I feel like I've improved in the visuals. I want to improve in the audio as well, and we're using live instruments for this, so I was like, well, why not? Let's use some professional actors. I also want to point out that I'm not bashing non-union actors. Like, there's plenty of super talented non-union actors out there, but union actors are a different level. So I mean, yeah, no shade towards non-union actors. I've loved working with them. I've had some great experiences performance-wise, but I would like to try something different. Sorry, Clem Fandango, we don't need you anymore. Exactly. Also, like, the whole, you know, being, you know, insistent on working with, like, local people in New York, like, yeah, okay, fine. But at the end of the day, I would much actually rather sit here in my basement over Zoom than have to commute into a studio every day, as fun as that was for Lamplight City. I don't know, there's just, you know. Also because, like, we recorded Lamplight City in the dead of winter. So that was a thing, and I'm planning on recording this in the summer, so I'd like to not have to worry about going out into the heat in the subway and going somewhere and all that, so. The term we use, Francisco, is they're built different. Also, hello, get Celius. I mean, I've got a few people. I've got a few people coming back from Lamplight City on Rosewater that are currently non-union. That was another big misconception that I had, which was I thought that if you had a union project, you could only cast union actors, but that is 100% not the case. So it was good to learn things. Hello, Sag Grundislav after. Hello, Edwin Detour. Commuting to Chicago would be either a few hundred in hotel fees or 6 hours added to my day remote. Yeah, wow, that's a lot. I'm really excited for you. The voice acting in your games has always been great. One of the few games where I turn off the subtitles. Well, thank you. Rosewater is going to default with subtitles off. Because I have confidence in my hopeful cast. Up the contrast on this. Maybe vertical. Work. We'll do horizontal. I like subtitles though. Well, that's fine. You can turn them on. I just mean that they're going to be off by default. So all you have to do on the main menu is go into the settings and turn on subtitles, and there they'll be. I'm not saying that I'm getting rid of subtitles completely, of course. That would be ridiculous. This has been very interesting to listen to. Not that it isn't usually, but it's something that I don't know anything about. Well, I hope you learned something. Considering this is here, I don't really need to worry about the top of the barrel. Look, see here. Actually, I need to have these two things back here too. So if you're wondering who I have on my fantasy list, I have a few people. I'm not going to say because I don't want to jinx it. Not that I believe in jinxes or anything, but I also don't want to say anything until it's absolutely confirmed. But I have several people who I think. Oh, also thank you for the subscription, Electric Dragon UK. Does this cover all SAG in general? Like, do these reduced budget structures cover film stars if you wanted to go that route? As much of a mixed bag as that has been historically. Yeah. I mean, so basically it's a SAG union contract. So what it means is anyone who is a member of SAG-AFTRA can work on this. Now, whether they accept the rate is a completely different story. Like, if I were to reach out to a celebrity, like Mark Hamill or something, I'm sure... I mean, Mark Hamill's a nice guy, so he might do it. Not that I'm planning on reaching out to him. But, you know, it's like if I were planning to reach out to a celebrity, like Keanu Reeves or something, like, I'm sure, like, a A-list Hollywood celebrity is not going to work for, you know, the reduced rate. Even if unless they're super generous. Again, it's one of those, you never know unless you ask. But the thing is, there's so many talented union voice actors. Why would I go for a celebrity when there's plenty of super talented people in the union that are by profession voice actors? So Yeah, he does do a ton of games, but I don't want to cast Mark Hamill. I mean, I'm sure he's a really nice guy, but he's not exactly on my radar as far as like, oh yeah, I want to get Mark Hamill in my game. So right, Perlman did Fallout, and Sting did Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. Where the Water Tastes Like Wine was kind of one of the flagship projects that took advantage of this low budget agreement. So yeah, you never know, but yeah, I'm trying not to get like superstar crazy or anything. I just want good people whose work I'm familiar with and who I know have done adventure games and who I know have home studios. Those are my basic 3 requirements. Also, I should mention that GTA stopped using celebs a long time ago. I think San Andreas was the last time. Yeah. See if you can get the ghost of Tony J. I wish, right? Um, I'm sure with all that weird AI stuff they're doing, it's only a matter of time before they replicate Tony J's voice. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, that also just because it's a minimum doesn't also mean that everyone has to work for that amount. Like you could still, if you were to get like a big celebrity and they were like, well, yeah, I'll work on your game, but I want to be paid this much, you could do that. But I don't know why you would. But what SAG is basically saying is that there's a fair minimum amount that everyone will get. Didn't Tim Curry have a stroke? Poor guy, is he still working? Plus, I'd like to share Peter Cushing's comment about doing projects he thinks people would like rather than sticking to a type of project. Sometimes people just like a project. Never hurts to ask, but only ask if you mean it. Exactly right. Exactly right. Is that the Scale Plus thing? I don't know much about this. Yeah, I think so. I think. But I'm not sure. And yes, the creepy reanimated Peter Cushing in Rogue One. I mean, look at the creepy Luke Skywalker stuff they've been doing recently, too. When Mark Hamill is still very much alive and well. They're using an AI to do his voice instead of just having him do the voice. Because I guess they think he sounds too old. I don't know. I already have this set to 10 pixels. Oh, that's too big. Too many pixels. Let's go down to 5. Curry did is in a wheelchair right now, right. I thought he was doing the voice. No, apparently he did the voice for the one in The Mandalorian, but his more recent appearance in... No, wait, no, he didn't. He did some, like, I think he did the stand-in, and then they, like it was him on set, and then they like, digitally deep-faked the younger face onto him. But his voice was completely AI in both The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Because I remember the article came out recently, and it was like Mark Hamill didn't actually do any of his line reads. It was an AI. So, who sets up the voice auditions? Well, I do. I mean, normally I work with a casting director, and I am I am getting someone to help me with the casting too, because I have a friend who is, he's a voice actor and he also has his own production company, and so I'm going to get him to help me reach out. But casting is a little different for union projects, because on a non-union project you can just do open auditions, and like I could post on Twitter and say, hey, anybody who wants to audition, go ahead. But with union talent, you have to go through their agencies most of the time. So you usually just have to reach out and be like, hey, agents, I've got this project and I'm looking for this type of voice and I need this and this, and then the agents will send the specs or the audition sides to who they think would be good for the role. Or if you have a specific request in mind, you're like, I would like to hear so-and-so read for this part. Then the agent will contact their talent, their client, and say, hey, are you interested in this? And then if they are, then they audition. So it's slightly different in that respect, but that's why Luke's voice didn't have a lot of emotion, exactly. Star Wars has Sir Alec Guinness. Someone made a big ask and probably sold their soul for that. Yes, that person was George Lucas, and Alec Guinness infamously hated Star Wars. He thought it was ridiculous. But he did it because he was a professional. And also, didn't he like specifically ask for Obi-Wan to be killed so he wouldn't have to read the lines anymore? Or something like that? I think Harrison Ford had a similar experience with Han Solo. He got 2.25%. Oh wow, so he made it. He made out like a bandit. Presumably. Alright, I'm gonna actually, hold on. Before I do that, let's do this. I'm gonna add these two. The little devil horns are gonna come over here also. Nope, wait, I can't do that. Unless I extend this much further out. Which I can, but I don't know that I want to. Hold on, let me rethink this. Excuse me. Actually, before I do that, let's go back as far as we can. Okay, so that's as far as I can go back. So let me clip this here. Tim Curry will always be my Gabe. Yeah, he did because he was a professional. The story of me having day jobs, yes. Wasn't Ford basically just a carpenter on set and they pulled him in? I think that was on American Graffiti. I think he was already an established actor by the time Star Wars came around. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not a Harrison Ford historian. Let's do this. Duplicate layer. Transform horizontal. Go that way. There we go. Duplicate the layer here, then it's not quite gonna fit. Kind of. Yeah, you know what? Let's do that. Let's make it a triple barrel surprise. What the hell is a triple barrel surprise? I don't know, but that's what we've got here. So, bam. Oh dear. American Graffiti makes more sense. Okay, oh wait, hang on. Let's go up here. I heard Mark Hamill managed to get a deal where he gets one example of every Star Wars related toy that is ever produced, so he's pretty much set. If he likes toys, sure, if he could, or he can go on eBay and sell them, I guess. Harrison Ford was also in the conversation and Apocalypse Now before Star Wars. Okay, there you go. He was a small-time actor, and Lucas met him while he was working on some carpeting job at his house because he wasn't getting right. Okay. Yes, that's right. That's right. The stereotype is that everyone in LA, regardless of their actual job, is an aspiring actor, director, screenwriter. That's what I hear. It's the truth. So here's a question for you all. If you were making a game, who would be your dream get for a voiceover artist or artists? Who would be someone that you would be real excited to work with, assuming that they said yes to working on your project? And what would you cast them in? Or what would you cast them as, rather? Hello, Tommy K. Satnev. That's what my friends in LA do. They have day jobs and then work a bit in the entertainment industry. Daniel Day-Lewis would be kind of cool. I would cast him as anything. He would be cool, but unfortunately I believe he's retired from acting. And I don't think Daniel Day-Lewis has ever done any voiceover work, as far as I know. I think he's exclusively an on-camera guy. And Tony J. Well, yeah, but yeah, Tony J. unfortunately is no longer with us. So let's limit this to people who are alive. Tony Babcock and Kristen Stewart. Kristen Shaw. Okay. I don't know Tony Babcock. The name sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure I know who he is. Kristen Stewart is the one from Twilight. Helen Mirren. Interesting. Oh, Matt Berry. Yes. And Brian Blessed. There's a very similar energy there, I feel. Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. Good. A woman I went to school with went to California to work in film. Has like 2 things to her credit, so I hope she's happy. Oh no. Yeah, well. That's often the story. Smaller. Tony to play my fantasy Black Mirror 4 that I'd write. Okay. I feel like we're playing Who's Your Celebrity Crush. And Kristen Stewart just because. Okay. Fair. Excuse me. Ooh. Excuse me. Water. They could do some perspective. Treat. Sam Rockwell. Interesting. Wouldn't get to you. Her. Oh, you mean Kristen Stewart, right? 90% of what I'd want, Lucas Schuneman can do, so I'm happy. I don't know who Lucas. But if I was Trolley, Gilbert Gottfried or Bobcat Goldthwait doing their personas for my narrator. Interesting. I mean, my general advice when casting a lead, or the general thing that I look for when I'm casting a lead in my games is it pleasant to listen to them? Because if you're going to be listening to them for majority of the game, you want to pick somebody who you don't want to kill yourself or claw your ears out every time they open their mouth. I mean, I think one of the most important choices you can make is your lead or your leads, simply because of that. Gillian Anderson doing either a US or English accent. Raymond Blank because I love his accent. Yes, I know he's not an answer. Is that a heuristic restricted to narrators and leads? I'm surprised no one has mentioned Francisco Gonzalez. That's because I'm not a professional voice actor. What I'm surprised is that you've all named celebrities. Like, not celebrity, but like film actors. Not one of you has named any like famous or well-known like exclusively voice actors, which is interesting to me. Got this happening. Well-known exclusively voice actor. I say fame. Well, so the thing is, like, voice actors are not. They're not celebrities in the same way as like you would think of a celebrity. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, there's no such thing as like a celebrity voice actor because most professional voice actors are very down to earth people. Like, there's no I'm too. I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions to every rule. But Eric Fierstein, the voice of Ben Jordan himself. There's not really very many examples of like people who specialize in voice acting who are like, oh no, I'm too good for that. I can't do that. I'm like, give me more money. If we're talking voice actors, then Jennifer Hale and Abe Goldfarb. Okay. Sean Schemmel can play a happy dude. In Japan, voice actors are superstars. Kevin Delaney played Van Helsing in Dracula Origin. Brilliant. VA doesn't get a lot of FaceTime, no pun intended, unless you're the guy from Primordia Bastion. Logan Cunningham, right? The point is they disappear into the role more than stand out. Definitely Jack Angel. Unfortunately, Jack Angel is no longer with us. Jennifer Hale would be dope. I agree. And that's all I'm gonna say. Sally Beaumont, Alistair Becca King, sure. Logan Cunningham. Texture. Did do a texture here. I'll paint over this texture. Yeah, he died recently, unfortunately. But yeah, Jack Angel was great. You know, for some reason, I don't know if it's that my mouse is dying or it just doesn't like the update that I did to OBS, but my mouse seems like it's going. Alistair would be amazing, especially if he comes with joke advice. I was listening to my partner playing Nelly Coot a lot the other day, and the commentary was really funny. Go ahead and duplicate the entire thing. Top of this. Because why not? Guy's got a lot of booze. A lot of barrels, I should say. Well, it is a lot of booze. A lot of barrels of booze. Let's do a third tier. Why not? All little barrels. Stocked for the winter. Close enough. Okay. Towards the arches, so I'll keep those away for now. Okay, so, yeah, good. I'm in no way interested in getting into acting in any way, but I've recently been exposed to a lot of neat distinctions. Like, some people hate the stage because it's the same thing over and over. Others love it. Some people disappear into their roles. Others are like Jeff Goldblum. I can't. Right. Real quick. It's gonna be the dark, scary corridor. Dark. Soft edge here. Imagine playing Male Shepherd when you can have Hail VO. I haven't played Mass Effect. I played like 5 minutes of the first one and I bounced off it hard, so you can watch Fem. I suppose. Suppose that's something you could do. I've never really subscribed to the whole like, oh yeah, I want to watch my character's ass all day. Like, never really been a thing I've thought about when playing third-person games. Not that there's anything wrong with it, I guess. You can objectify your player characters if you want. If I'm going to invest hours and hours into a game, I'd rather look at a female ass than a male one. That's fair. It's all down to your preferences. I mean, also, most of the time, well, all of the time, they generally give the females much more shapely. They're much more calipigian in here, shall we say, than male protagonists. You get more of a view of Miranda Lawson when she's in your party. It's computer generated anyway. Right. That's kind of right, so I still have this. So basically when this is up, it's gonna find this. It's gonna mostly light up cast its light here. Here's this way. So pretty much gonna end there. So, that's not too bad. I mean, it'll light up this thing as well a little bit. So not too concerned there, but yeah, I think that's gonna be. Well, also, it'll go up here as well. So I guess I can throw in a little hard light. Not shard light, hard light color here too. here just to make it a little bit more intense. See that because it's behind boxes, but sure. And also here. Well, I already did that, but let me make sure. Just make sure that I've got a little bit of this happening too. Except I want it to be a different layer. No, not 5 minus 50. There we go. Sorry, let me catch up here. Honestly, the ass cams in Mass Effect 2 were so jarring, like, why is this here? Glad they stopped that in the re-release. Oh yeah, I remember reading about that. I'd actually have to actively think about VA while playing something. It's easy to pick apart bad VA, but I don't have a little index in my brain for it. They really can emote in a believable way. Okay. Are there going to be some skeletons in that basement? Literal and figural skeletons. There will not be any literal skeletons. Actually, there's neither literal nor figurative skeletons in this basement. There is some stuff to be discovered, but I wouldn't say that it's of the skeletal variety. So much of it seems to come down to direction, actors questioning or not questioning the script when it seems awkward. Abe did great work as Crispin, though, and Miranda just did her all for Strangeline. Holy crap. Good point, but there's something I don't understand that makes a performance go from good to great. It's very nuanced. It's often very nuanced. Which is the beauty of being... I mean, that's one of the things that I love about when it comes to recording the VO, is just taking the words that I'm so familiar with because I wrote them or I've read them millions of times in game, and just comparing them to how I've heard them and being surprised by what the actor does with them. That's always a really cool thing to do. So, yes. Alright, so now that I've gotten this bit here, I'm going to go ahead and continue on with the arches. So let's come back up here and figure out where I have my stuff here. Okay, so so I already did that, but I want to do this. Okay, so now it's time to erase. Make sure that my eraser is the correct size, and I'll go ahead and erase. I also want to go back to this later and make sure that the bricks are not like ridiculously super even. Just do a little wiggle. A little wiggle. Et voila. Anybody get that reference? It's fairly easy considering there's not that many characters with French ladies. I'm lucky to work with Vic as he's very artistic and I'm very procedural and concrete. I'm a good choice to get ducks in a row, but you don't want me doing VA direct. Hey, you know, everyone has a different skill and set of talents. So, you know. You can't expect everybody to be good at everything. I mean, there are some people who are good at everything, but most people are not amazing at everything. Alright, so speaking of perspective, let's make sure that I have the right perspective here. Do that there. Okay. Alright, let's go up here. The one VO experience I have when I'd send off multiple versions of the lines, the game developer seemed puzzled by it. Not knocking her, she was great, but yeah, if you want it relevant to the mood. Plus, you know, I'm sure that there is some role that would be valuable to have Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, he was the parrot in Aladdin. That was a serious role, right? Look at me, I'm so ticked off that I'm molting! Doing VO without seeing the in-game scene sounds problematic. Getting John Davies, I think, was for Quest for Glory 4 was magic. Yeah, except it nearly killed him. He was like, oh my god, this script is 800,000 pages long, how will I live? But yeah, that was definitely one of those cool Hollywood gets. I don't know what he's up to these days, John Rhys Davies. You haven't really heard much from him. Learn the ancient art of talk fu. I feel like, to your point, Dave, or I mean, there's various different ways of doing it, and lots of people obviously work differently. And I agree. I personally feel like the writer should be, the person directing the VO should either be very, very, very familiar with the game as the writer, or if it's something like in my case, the person who wrote the game should be there for the voiceover sessions, or the voice writer could also be directing the voiceover. So yeah, that's my particular opinion on that. Just because, I mean, they are the ones who understand the context, and so helpful. I mean, there's plenty. I know. I mean, I've seen interviews with like the writer for Night School Studios, the guys who did Oxenfree and After Party, and the upcoming Oxenfree 2, and he said that he hates hearing his lines written, or he hates hearing his lines spoken, so he hates going to the voiceover sessions, which is the first time I've ever heard a writer say that. But I mean, like I said, everybody's different, so you gotta respect that opinion. So yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7. This one up here, so I know. have come a long way drawing old sellers from Ben Jordan. I kind of want to take a little trip down memory lane. Let's go look at the little wine cellar I drew for Ben Jordan 8. Oh, thank you for Winter Frost for the follow. Yes, Oxenfree 2. They are making an Oxenfree 2. Why is it oxen and not oxens anyway? Because oxen is the plural of ox. Nope, not art studies. Ben Jordan. 8. No, episode 7. Backgrounds. Stellar. Here we go. Look at that. This was my idea of what a wine cellar should look like in 2007? Notice the heavy use of the dodge and burn tool. I clearly was using a background from Quest for Glory, Shadows of Darkness as inspiration for this. And just what is happening with the perspective? Nothing is happening with the perspective because it's wrong. So there's a thing. I notice you're not wearing your glasses today. I have very recently been told... What? I have V recently has been told he needs to wear glasses for screen work. I am getting old. You mean Conquest of the Longbow? Actually, you know, Conquest of the Longbow does have a similar scene, but I don't believe I had played Conquest of the Longbow. Wait, no, yes I had. Also, I'm not wearing my glasses today. I'm wearing my contacts because I wanted to take a break from wearing my glasses. Sorry, I just see that Between the Borders wrote a lot here. So I'm going to talk about VO from my limited experience. It's a battle of dependencies. You need the script finished before you can do VA. That's right. More than finished, it needs to be set in stone. That's also... Well... Okay, I'll come back to that. If you have a scene in-game you want to show them, then that also needs to be very well advanced. Okay, unless you want to go gold and then wait weeks or months while you do VA, it's always a... Okay, we're good to go, right? No, we weren't. Okay. Okay. I mean, obviously it depends on the project. I've never found myself in a situation where it's been a requirement to show the actor the scene in question. But again, that depends on the game. I feel like for a 2D point and click, you're not really gonna find that too often. I could be wrong, but I've never run into that yet. As far as the script being set in stone, to a point, yes. I feel like if there's a line that just doesn't flow right, because the way it's written just doesn't sound good when it's spoken, I think it's okay to change that around a little bit. I don't think it necessarily... I mean, again, you have a lot more flexibility when you're just like a one-person team, or a two-person team, or whatever. But yeah, I feel like if it just doesn't sound right, you should change it and not be beholden to just because it's written. But generally speaking, yes, the script should be completed when you're... just for maximum efficiency. Like, I've never had to do retakes or pickups or anything like that, because I'm always very mindful to have everything exactly as I want it when it comes time to record. Especially if I'm paying union rates, I don't want to have to schedule another session just for a few lines that didn't get recorded or changing. No. Good writing. No edit. Only good writing. Yeah, right. No. I've gained a immense appreciation for script editors and script editing over the past 2 projects. I go back and play some of my... Well, I don't really go back and play, but going back and like looking at my old stuff, I'm like, oh god, this could have used so much better editing. But why you go learning as you go. Why you go learning as you go. Total sense. Mind. Personal question: would you go for improv on the actor's part? I've asked actors to ad lib before. Yeah. It depends on the situation. I mean, sometimes, like, if I know who I'm going to give the role to, if I'm writing it with a particular actor in mind, you know, if it's something where it's like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a situation where I've done it. Oh, I know, perfect example. So, for A Golden Wake, when I was writing Doc Dammers, I knew that I wanted to get Abe Goldfarb to play him. And so there was a bit where, if you played A Golden Wake, there's a bit where there's an explosion and Doc Dammers gets thrown backwards and he screams. And so, I mean, as written, it was just, he screams. But I was like, if you want, give me a few just like improv lines, like have him shout stuff. And he was like, oh, Jinkies, or oh, Moose Knuckles, and stuff like that. And it was funny. I mean, I ended up using just a scream of one of the screams he did. But sure, like, and the same thing goes with lines, too. Like, sometimes I'll write a line and be like, you know, say something funny or make up something funny or something like that. And it's happened a few times. I'm not opposed to it. Definitely not opposed to it. My oh god, why didn't I edit this experience was with the die rolling explanation in Perilous Wild. I see. I generally want one good pass on what I put down, but if a professional thinks they know the character and situation well enough to inject life, I'm all for it. Yes, okay. You answered that basically exactly as I did. In fact, I was being asked. I'm a little dry. I need some water. Shading bricks. Gotta shade all the bricks. That's my song. I'm also learning how in-depth marketing and promotion of games can be. I get why people outsource it. Absolutely. Marketing is a pain in the butt. Why I am grateful to have a publisher who has marketing contacts, and I would not want to do that myself. Excuse me. How rude. So Dave, or how's your yippee jumping animation? I watched a little bit last night. Oh yeah, let me give a shout out to Deivor actually. So Deivor makes cool EGA animations. Follow Deivor and check out the streams for EGA animations and whatnot. Getting a FaceTime call. I don't have time for you now. I don't have FaceTime for you now. Ho ho ho. Blech. You finished it. It's on Twitter. Oh, cool. I'll check it out. Do I have an email? And it's from IGDA. Surprise. Okay. Oh, okay. I think it's adorable. Let me have a look. Let's have a glimpse at your animation. Away from my wine cellar barrels. Do 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 do. I don't know why. I was there. Oh, look at that! Whee! That's cool. I like it. Well done. The way you shouldn't eat your steak, unless you're a weirdo. I'm kidding. Eat your steak however you want. If in fact you even eat steak. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're a vegan or a vegetarian. And that's perfectly fine too. I feel that. It's like, is this the time everyone will call me a shill and kick me out of the conversation? You know, there's one thing I've learned, and that is that someone once told me, very sage information, there is always an infinite amount of people who have never heard of your game. So don't be afraid to self-promote. I often feel like when I tweet that I'm preaching to the choir, because I'm like, all of my followers know me, presumably. If they're following me, they obviously know who I am and what my work is. So tweeting about my stuff to them in an effort to be like, hey, buy my game. You know, I can't assume that every single person that follows me has bought or played my game. So inevitably, every time I tweet about it, someone's always like, oh, cool, I've never heard of this before. And so I'm like, okay, well, obviously that means that it's not like, oh, I did my marketing and that's it. It's one of those perpetual things. I do feel bad about it because nobody likes when it's like, hey, let me tell you about this. But as long as you're genuine about it and you're not just like, you know, I always tell the story of one time I was at an expo here, back when, in the before times when we could have expos. And this guy came up to me and was like, oh, hey, this game looks really cool. I forget if it was Shardlight or Lamplight City. It doesn't matter. But he was like, oh, hey, this game looks really cool. And I was like, oh, thanks. You want to try it? And he was like, oh, sure. And he sat down and he clicked, like, furiously clicked, like 10 times. Nothing happened. He didn't do anything. He clicked through all the dialogue. And then he got up immediately and was like, wow, that was really great. That's really cool. By the way, here's my card. Blah, 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 blah. So, like, he totally had no real interest in playing my game. He only did that as an icebreaker to then be able to present himself. And that's crappy. Don't do that. That's disingenuous. That's being a shill. But if you're down to earth and you're like, hey, you know, I'm making this game, I want to tell you about it, you know, whatever, that's fine. So that's where you have to learn the difference there. And I think there's I wouldn't say it's necessarily even a fine line because it's pretty obvious when you're doing it. But it's definitely something to keep in mind. You know, it's very easy to tell when someone is asking you about something because they're genuinely interested versus when they're just trying to fill in the gap between the appropriate time to tell you about their thing. I mean, I heard about Rosewater forever, but I still like seeing your tweets. I think you have the heart of it with sincerity. I mean, I thank you. I try. I'm not tweeting about stuff because I'm like, look, I mean, in a sense, I am tweeting about it because I want people to be like, oh, wow, that looks cool. I'm interested. I want to play this. But I'm also tweeting because I'm like, well, look, I want to show off what I'm doing, you know. I want to keep you up to date on what's happening. I'm also not tweeting to be like, look how awesome I am. Even though that's completely different. I don't think there's many indie developers who really do that, if any. But, yeah. The thing is, there's so much noise out there, and tweets are so ephemeral that if you don't keep people updated on what you're doing, they'll forget. So if you want people to remember, you have to just keep being around. Amongst other yeah, exactly. It is my job. So, I thought for a second this was going to be a story about someone who mashed the right arrow key to walk right. Not quite. Posting art on social media seems like an egotistical exhibitionist act if I do it, but not anyone else, so I'll get over myself. Sure. I mean, it's not really. You're just like, hey, look, I did this thing. I mean, there's a difference between posting art and being like, hey, look, I did this thing. I'm so cool. You must love me. Which is not generally the attitude. And like, hey, check out this art. What do you think? Feedback sort of thing, Burke? Olive? Oh, boy. Throwback. Okay, let's see. So I have... Still my wood layer, so let's get rid of this. Okay, let's one pixel or two. The tweet churn. I was so proud I made a shader. I shared it. I hope people liked it. I'm sure people did. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with tweeting stuff you're proud of. I mean, this can be a lonely existence, and sometimes you need a little validation. Just try not to, beat yourself up if you post something that you think is... I mean, I can tell you the number of times it's happened to me. I had $1 for every time it happened to me where I posted something I thought was really cool, and it got nowhere near the amount of engagement I thought it would. It just happens. Because there's so much out there that standing out is really challenging. Like, I spent all day doing this. Although I have found that a good way to get engagement is to be sincere about stuff and be genuine. So like, if I do a background that I'm proud of, and I'm like, I had these challenges working on this, I spent this amount of time on the background, blah, 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 I'll generally get more engagement from it than if I'm just like, here's a background I did. Because if I'm like, oh, I did this background and the trees were real challenging and whatever, then I notice that people engage with it more. I'm proud every time I get a shader to compile, forget finishing it. Everybody should be proud to share their work, yes. But I figure Twitter is professional for me. Sometimes I share publicly personal stuff, but everyone following me wants to know about the game, or we had a nice chat in the comments. I spent all day doing this is such a mental trap. Agreed, yes. Hello, KCC CC90. I am well today. 2 days to get a CRT flicker. Eek. I'm well. I'm still working on this background. I've made some progress. So, like, there was that one background I tweeted where I was like, oh, this game, well, this background shouldn't take me more than a little while or something. And it was like 4 days later, I wish I could remember a time before I started drawing this background. And I got like 200 likes on it. I think both because, it was relatable, and also because I was just like, it took me a long time. I'm human. Maybe because it was an okay background too, I don't know. Thing happening. Excuse me. that, but I... Longest start times for me are the huge 640 by 400 size color cycled backgrounds. Ooh, yeah. I think you sold the experience. That's what I keep telling people. You're not selling a board game, for example. You're selling the experience around... around that. I see. Thank you. Okay, hold on. The number of times I've done work for a client only for them to change their mind or they decide they didn't want it anymore or even go out of business before it was finished. Woof. Thank you, Big K69er, for the subscription. That is a long time. I can't think of an accent I want you to do. How about an Aussie who's confused about daylight savings? Wow, 21 months. That's amazing. You want me to do an Australian who's confused about daylight savings? Okay. I need to do my warm-up phrase, which is a baby kangaroo's called a joey. Crikey, mate. What's with this daylight savings time? I don't know what's going on. It's been a long time. I haven't practiced my Australian. It sounds more Kiwi right now, but it's not very good. It should be more subtle. There, that's better. So I don't understand daylight savings time. It's confusing. I suppose that we have to set our clocks forward on Saturday, and that's going to be great because it'll get darker later, but I don't look forward to losing an hour of sleep. Okay, there you go. Thank you for the subscription. I am your performing monkey for subscriptions. Mentally, I have to think of Darl Kingsmill or Bobby from The Expanse. I haven't seen The Expanse. Where? Shadow. Is this my shadow layer for? 28. Shadow layer for the wall. Aren't we all performing monkeys? Yeah, to an extent, I think we are. I don't just subscribe for the accents. I love the content too. I'm glad, because if you were subscribing just for the accents, you would not be... That was an amazing Aussie accent to my ear. Well, thank you. I don't think it's great, but... I'm not going to fool any Australians, for sure. But at least I'm trying not to be like Crocodile Dundee or Steve Irwin or anything crazy like that. Where did my thing go? Oh, it's here. Copy. Okay. Get away with... There. One's the wiser. Bam. And also, because this is back here, sketch layer. Also going to be in shadow as well, so about the light. I can go ahead and do it on my same... Actually, no, I have to do a separate hard light layer behind. Once again, hard light, not shard light. Soft brush it. Soft brush it. Ah. Oh, that, yeah, look what that is. That is a piece of the wall that I forgot to erase. Why you... Oh, nope, that's the wrong layer. Right layer. %. Back basement. Project code is allowed to be whatever, but cross-project code has to be beautiful, and boy, I appreciate it. What up? Hey, Nick Tringali. I'm watching ads. Oh boy. I have a love-hate relationship with The Expanse. It's fun, but occasionally glacial, and it needs to stop killing my beloved characters again and again. Well, I guess it has stopped. I've been perceived by chicken tenders. Okay, so I guess the next final step is to this other... You know what? This is not going to be like this. Head and... Dark. Okay. Did I watch The Expanse? No, I did not watch The Expanse. That is why I'm not participating in the conversation. Right, okay. Go back here, get rid of our sketch layer. And this is going to be covered by stuff, so doesn't really count. Oops. But I'm going to do it anyway because I don't like the texture being visible. Oh no! Okay, so here's some fun, because now I have to do the texture on those ceiling boards, because I was waiting to do the texture until I knew how much of them were going to be visible through the arches, so then that way I wouldn't waste my time doing the entire ceiling. See? That's efficiency. Or at least that's my perceived attempt at efficiency. I have seen it, but will also not participate. Oh, okay. Hey, look who it is. It's our friend, the lamp. The floating lamp. So now, that means that I get to draw this part again. But I also need to follow the perspective line. And make sure that it comes out to here. Just slightly outside. Line here. Where did it go? Oh, it's there. It's just very similar to the floor, so okay, no worries. Let's go this way. Let's go with a 3 brush up this way. And make sure that it covers up there. Excuse me. ploy ploy. I'm getting really hungry. I might actually end the stream early to go eat lunch because I'm feeling very, very hungry. But we'll see. Let's see if I can hold out a few more minutes. It's only about 23 minutes until I normally end the stream. I think I can wait another 23 minutes or so. We can't have you passing out from hunger when you have a game to complete. I'm not going to pass out from hunger, don't worry. I've never gotten to that point before. Oh, the game, right. It took me a second to figure out what you were talking about. I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, no, I'm not completing the game this stream. Don't be silly. There. Look at how much space look at how much ceiling wood I just saved myself having to texture because of the arch. This is why I waited until I was finished with this. Because otherwise I would have wasted a lot of time there. Although I think I can fix the arch angle a little bit here, but that's what the eraser is for. This is just from looking at, actually, no, you know what? From looking at this thing here, if I were to, just at the angle I'm looking at here, which, as you know, I like using my basement for reference, that's actually about where it ends, so that's fine. Is A Maple Mystery still here? Do you want to correct my angle? Quid pro quo. Let me fix it just a tad here, actually. That'll work. Oh, there you are. Hello. Good to still have you with us. So I guess, yeah, from here it would kind of go like this, and then it would go pretty much across like that. Following the perspective line, anyway. Slightly more bricky. Okay, there we go. Cool. Fill this bit in here because I don't want these ugly brown gaps. There we go. Okay. That'll do. That'll do for now. Also, I need to whatever I end up doing over here, this corner needs to be shadow as well. But you know what? I am going to call it a stream early because I am very hungry. Angle is okay, curves are tricky. I feel like that curve bit would be more curved. You're right. Look at this for better inspiration. But thank you all for coming to my stream. I will see you next time. Enjoy plantains. I'm not having plantains for lunch, I don't believe. I don't have any plantains for one thing, so I definitely am not having. But thank you all for coming. Thank you all for listening to my my TED talk about working with unions. If you missed it, you can check out the VOD or the YouTube video. But yeah, I will see you all next time. Bye!